Hello and welcome to Talking Dogs on a Tuesday. Yes, indeed, bank holiday weekend. So we are coming to you on a Tuesday evening rather than a Monday evening. I promise you, you're better off because I was not in good shape yesterday evening. Sunday night, I managed to get out for a few drinks, and yeah, well, the results were there to be seen. As always, I'm joined by the exiled dub Tommy Lyons and, of course, Tom Fitz, the chairman of the advisory council down at Limerick Stadium for another 2 months, I believe. Tom.
That's it. That's it. We're on the way. We're on the final hurdle now, Ian. Thanks very much.
And then they're kicking you out.
Yeah, exactly. They've had enough of me, the clear men. Over the clear people.
Yeah, well, that's fair enough. Listen, you were a clear man in Limerick on Saturday night. Some great racing. We spoke off air before we started speaking here now, and I think it's fair to say that the Ledger entry this year was absolutely out of the top drawer.
Yeah, phenomenal entry again this year. It's I suppose the classic is nicely placed at the end of the year before the Winter Racing Festival. A lot of guys use the Ledger. Great if they keep going to the final. They may think twice about the Night of the Stars, but if they don't, the dog really prepared for it. And you're coming off the back of the Laurels, which would be a different competition. The Ledger competition is a Derby competition, Derby class dog, and you're coming from the Derby, maybe possibly the Laurels, and into the Ledger before the Night of the Stars. So it's a great timing and it's a great entry this year. Every single heat there's fantastic dogs, and the heats next week are God love us.
Yeah, there's some tough ones all right next week. Tommy, I suppose the Laurels and the Ledger are so different. We've noticed in recent years that, not an awful lot of dogs enter in both. They are very much different tests. Like the Laurels is the real speed test, the real 525 yard classic is the one standout sort of 525 classic on the calendar, and the Limerick sort of dogs are those that can run over a bit further, or Derby type dogs. But yeah, it's just hugely deep in quality.
Yeah, they're very different, Dean. Very different. The races change a lot in Limerick as well, which is good, which is what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be competitive. It's not supposed to be just out and gone. 550 is supposed to be a greater test, and I think whereas maybe in Shelburne it doesn't feel like as great a test anymore, it still does in Limerick. It still feels like a proper test, which is what we want it to be. So, yeah, look at this. I actually you would think by the fact that we're 24 hours later, it's Tuesday morning, and instead of doing this on a Monday morning, we might have figured out something, or I might have had time to figure out something about the Ledger. But I mean, I'm as confused now as I was before the first round. I find it genuinely find it really difficult to get a handle on. And I think that was the case last year as well. Maybe it takes a couple of rounds just to settle in and see what dog will be suited to Limerick. And also that test, and also the fact that they're running to the escape, which is a nice bit away, and the whole lot. So there's a lot of kind of angles to the Ledger, which make it intriguing and difficult as well for punters. But I suspect I know the lads I'd be talking to who spend the year in Limerick working at the track and whatever else would say to me, you'll always go for a fresh dog here. I think that might be key. Looking ahead for the rest of the competition.
It's also a track where you could rock up to Sheldon Park win first time out. Very few do that at Limerick.
I think, yeah, and I think Curry and Pack is the exact same.
Mm.
Weirdly, they're completely different tests, and yet they're quite difficult tracks. I think unless you know them, the first bend in Limerick can be tricky. You get to know it, you can run it really well. Um, and I think with Curry and Pack, it's the fact that you need to get out in front to because it's unrelenting. There seems to be almost no back straight in Curry and Pack. You're almost on the turn all the time, and it makes it a test. So with the Ledger. Limerick, I think it's quite difficult in a different way. It's getting your position and learning how to run those first two bends. If you can learn to run them really well, you're a long way into a competition like this. I think that's key to Limerick. So yeah, it does take a little bit of learning. I was impressed with a few of them now, I have to say, over the course of the first round, but I don't know if I know what the winner is at the moment.
Yeah, I certainly don't. And there were some bigger price ones, but generally, many of the bigger names were training those involved in the winners on Saturday night. Tom, hard to see from the video that I was watching, certainly in Sheldon Park. For some reason, the feed coming through was very dark. When I looked at the videos afterwards, it was like the switching from black and white to color television. It was Technicolor, as they say. It allows you get so much of a better look at what actually happened at Saturday night at Limerick. And still hard to tell, though. I believe it was very wet and windy. It was a miserable old evening.
Yeah, as the night went on, it got really dirty and and wet. It did test. If you notice there going through, I was just looking even the first race. A lot of the older season dogs won races there, which as Tommy alluded to there, Limerick, it's nearly 750 yards to the pickup by the time you run a 550 in Limerick, by the time you get all the way around to the pickup. And that often suits, as the competition goes on, a tougher dog or a fresher dog, as you said there, but definitely some of the older dogs, Kilcoggan Zeus pulled out a savage run, Disco Pants, 4 years of age, next March pulled out a savage run in the first race, So sometimes Clonbrine Treaty seems to love the track, fresh from the Kirby, I suppose, in April. He really set the place to alight on Saturday night.
Well, let's start talking about the best of performances. It just so happens that Graham Holland and Pat Buckley both had hat tricks on the evening. Tommy, I suppose no surprise given their kennel strength. Pat always targets the ledger. He's had a good record in the competition, and he sent out the fastest heat winner of the opening round, which was Balnabola Una. I'm a huge fan, always have been from her very earliest races. It's not all that long ago, but I can promise you one thing: I wouldn't have expected her to lead in a contest of this nature. And once she did, well, she looked like one that'll stay 6 bends in time. It was never a doubt. She goes on to win by 7 lengths in 29.50, setting the standard. Trinity Junior missed the kick, raced up to the corner, got badly balked on the bend, and sort of got done a second time nearly, sort of lost his balance, but recovered well to finish third. But it was all about Balnabola Una.
It's a funny one, this. I'm with you on this one. I wouldn't have expected Balnabola Una to lead. And that makes me question, did something charge the traps, or was there a little bit of movement or something? And that's not taking that away from her, because she do 29.50 every night of the week when she gets a solo. No problem with that. Ability-wise, I'm not surprised at the result. What I did love about her performance, actually, was the fact that she strode away most impressively. And that was at the moment, she's obviously reasonably likely raced and inexperienced for this, and she can step forward. At the moment, I don't have her down as a likely ledger winner, but I'll be watching closely to see how she breaks from now on. Maybe I'm being a bit harsh, because obviously what I'm doing is I'm balancing up what I see with her. I wouldn't have her down as a normal breaker. Trinity Junior, I would have down as a normal fly out, and I actually thought he would win that heat. I thought he had a great chance, because it looked like a really good opportunity to lead around, and he missed it completely. Yeah, I'm not taking that away from Balnabola Una, because the ability wise, there's no surprise in the clock or the performance and the way she flew home and all that sort of stuff. It's just that those early yards, I'm not convinced about yet. But I'd love to see. She is a genuine ledger player. If she can do that next week, and again the week after, she can pop out. She mightn't always lead around, but if she can pop out and turn within 3 or 4 lengths of any of the greyhounds in this competition, she's capable of going very close.
Yeah, she is. Tom, Trinity Junior missed the kick, but he was a finalist last year. He does like the place. He did get through. It's all about qualification at this stage, but you'd want to see him trapping. If he does trap, he's certainly a player.
You would, yeah. And Trinity Junior has had a good few runs around Limerick now, and he should have probably possibly trapped better. Now, 4 did come out, and it gave Balnabola Una a lovely run. 4 did drift out across towards Trinity Junior. If he had gone the other way, would Balnabola Una have got the run? I don't know. She definitely got a lovely run down to the bend, and they had tightened up her again on her at the bend, but she did go way down the back straight again,
Yeah,
So
she is very strong. In contrast to her kennel companion, so we go 2 or 3 heats further on. Bobsleigh Sid, I sort of raised an eyebrow when I saw him in the competition, to be honest. I've been watching him in Shelburne Park, struggling to get home over 5.25 yards. And the other evening, he shoots clear over the 550, and off the last bend, you think, oh, he's going to win 6 lengths here. And all of a sudden, just the last 15 strides, It's a commentator's nightmare. And Bobsleigh Sid's about to, hang on a second. And all of a sudden, Clonbrine Ollie is within a length of him, beating 3 parts of a length. Shows terrific early speed. 17.18 to the third bend, Tom. That's fairly moving in the conditions on Saturday night.
That's some clipping, and that's why I think you can probably most definitely rule him out of winning the ledger, because he's not going to have that kick coming home from the third bend home. 17.18 is a phenomenal run to the third bend. But definitely he struggled, and I could see him gasping coming to the line, So if you were to rule dogs out, possibly that's one dog you could rule out. I don't think he's going to have that freedom all the way through the competition, and he barely hung on, by the skin of his teeth.
He's not quite like his half sister, Tommy Bobsleigh Dream. We'll get to her in a few minutes. Tommy Bobsleigh Sid, early speed, got to the front, held on by 3 parts of a length from Clonbrine Ollie, who nearly gave the Murphys an unbelievable double on the night.
I have to say, I was fierce impressed with Clonbrine Ollie, actually, would you believe? It's coming from behind Milridge Levi and really powering to the line. Hasn't had much run, and hasn't had only a couple of runs after a break. That was a huge effort. Bobsleigh Sid, this is where the run to the escape kind of will should take its toll in a way, the sense that the bobsleigh Sid, like you said, he was clear to the last bend, and he was gasping for air coming home. It was fiercely impressive, his early pace, really impressive, and leaving them standing all together. But the dog doesn't know that okay, I can stop now. That I'm past the line. I can ease up. Like, he's still trying his best to get to that escape. So over the time, it's going to take a toll. He might win again next week, maybe, if you get a run or whatever. But I mean, trying to do it week after week is going to be difficult. He's bred. He's bred to win a ledger.
It certainly is, yeah. Droopy Sydney, of course, retired from breeding last week. He happened to have 8 winners from 11 at Shelburne Park on Saturday night. I think that sort of sums him up. He had a fair few in the ledger as well, let it be said. We'll skip on to the defending champion, Bobsleigh Dream, because she really did have no right to win Heat 10 from where she was in the opening corner, but she stays tight to that fence. She's 5th off the second bend. She races into the third bend. She slips into second off the last bend. And then it was only a case of how far she'd win by. She picks up the Bold Freddy 29.76. It wasn't the most impressive, or on the clock, but it was certainly one of the most impressive runs of the evening, Tom. I'd say it was a popular winner.
Definitely. My God, isn't she some bitch? Like, to come from practically last place going up to the first bend, the way she weaved her way through, she's such a clever runner now. I suppose she's phenomenal experience. And she does love Limerick track. She's been schooled around Limerick track since day one and the whole lot. Like, so she knows it inside out. But she was a very popular winner for the Buckleys and the Murphys, and yeah, wouldn't you love to have her for breeding purposes going forward and the whole lot, and showing the early pace that her brother has, if any of that comes through with her as well, phenomenal bitch,
Yeah, he actually is a full brother. He's a repeat maiden, but he's a full brother. I thought he was only a half brother. Yeah, he's a full brother, Bobsleigh Sid. Yeah. Tommy, what haven't we said about Bobsleigh Dream over the last year and a half? Like, she's just remarkable. Like, there's definitely sides to her character. You know what I mean? She loves a challenge. Like, I'd say she would have relished this run off the second menu of the night, going, I'm getting a run up the inside. Here, I'll have to show these lads what it's about.
Well, what's different about her and others that have a bit of character is that she does it when she needs to do it, in terms of she's capable of doing it in the final. Like, I mean, that performance the other night, to me, was reminiscent of the final last year. It really was. It was just joyous to watch. It was just brilliant. What a bitch to own. Like, she's absolutely fantastic. And it tells you she's ready to go and defend her crown. And if you want it, you better work hard for it, because by God, if she's going to turn anywhere close to you, you're going to have a race and a half. I loved it. It was great to see her at that level of form, this stage of the competition, and in the anticipation that she's going to improve.
Yeah, like, adding to what you both said about you want one that's fresh coming into this competition, fresh and strong. Well, she's certainly fresh, and we know she's strong. Like, she'd go all day and all night, this lady. Again, some of it's going to come down to trap draw when things really start to get tight late in the competition. But if you give her that fence, I don't care what she's up against. She's a serious threat. In behind her was the Bold Freddy, led for much of the way, and Clonturk Bruno qualifying back in third spot. Let's talk about the Kirby champion, Clonbrine Treaty, because this was without question one of the hottest heats of the round. It was also one of the most impressive performances of the round, Tom. 17-17 to the third bend. That really is clipping, I believe, the fastest of the round. So often trapping lets him down, but he does tend to trap that little bit better around Limerick for whatever reason it is. Now, the other evening was crowding on the inside. Ballyeel Sonic took a flyer. He didn't do a massive section on the outside, Clonbrine's Treaty, but he's very close. And he really, that last sort of 25, 30 yards into the corner, he just went whoosh around the leader. And by the second bend, it was race over. Ball burst, and Clonbrine Treaty coming home in 29.51, just one spot behind Balnabola Una. Massive run. I'm sure Graham Holland, Jimin, and Miran Murphy are more than delighted with their charge.
Yeah, and if you look at the split he had, the third bend 17-17, and you compare him while to go to the Bobsleigh Sid, this dog really finished coming home, and he loves Limerick track. I presume he's been schooled there since he was a pup, with the Murphys being just out the road, and Graham Holland wouldn't be a million miles away either. But he's a top class animal, and he's my pick for the Ledger. He hasn't a huge amount of running done this year. I know he went in all the big competitions, but he didn't go to the latter stages of some of them. But I think he's a phenomenal dog. The way he runs, he has it all. He has the early pace. He has trap 6, which he's a wide runner, so he'd be more or less guaranteed 5 or 6 for the rest of the competition. Maybe as the competition goes on, he'll be guaranteed 6. So he's going to have it all his own way. I think, he's going to be the dog to beat, definitely.
Yeah,
And that was a
Tommy,
hot sweep, a hot heat.
a very hot heat, but in the end, it didn't turn out to be a hot heat. Does that make sense? Because the two big guns, Swords Rex and Ben's Teddy, were in the wars from pretty
Yeah,
early. And Glengar Martha really did the damage. She's already edging off, and on the corner, she just gives. Oh God, what was it? She gave it the bump. Was it Swords Rex? Ben's Teddy, and all of a sudden it starts to concertina, and there,
yeah.
forget about it. They have no chance thereafter. But Tommy Clonbrine Treaty, we've had our fingers burnt with him in the past. We were both ready to declare him the next sort of super thing after the Kirby earlier in the year, and just again those little trapping issues, and really it was only the trapping issues because he is a dog over 550 yards. Probably does need to be in front by the third bend, because you don't find an awful lot extra from that third bend home with them, and as a result, there's a few second place finishes there where you think, well, you're a hot favorite to win that race, you probably should have won it, but it all comes down to trapping with them. The other evening he trapped relatively well, but the pace into the opening corner, and he just seems to love Limerick.
He's down the back as well was phenomenal. He's still not flashing out of traps, and as the competition gets a bit tighter, it'll be interesting to see. To watch his progress week on week. That'll be important, even how he breaks next week and whatever else, because like if you don't have doubts in your mind about the dog's breaking ability at the moment, you haven't been watching him over the last few months. Like, it's just been, you didn't know what you were going to get. Like, every race he was in since he won the Kirby, he was a danger. And even though he mightn't have been in form going into the race, or he'd been doing things wrong and missing kicks and all this, you still thought, God, if he breaks, I'm in a load of trouble here. If you back something else, or if you're one of the connections of the dogs up against him, like, to pay his overall ability is fabulous. It really is. But I just have a concern at the moment. Will he do it week on week? I hope he does, because we talked him up as an exceptional greyhound when he won the Kirby, and it was an exceptional performance that night in the final. Yeah, he can. Like Tom said, he definitely can win the Derby or the Ledger. I wouldn't be as strong about him in terms of. I just because I think with a punter's head nearly all the time, I would just be cautious. That's what I would be at the moment. I'd let him tell me a bit more before I decide to row in behind him. That's what I would be looking for. It was a funny heat though. I mean, Ben's Teddy broke well, couldn't hold Glengar Martin to the first bend, and got himself in trouble because of that. Swords Rex, and he got really badly boxed. I mean, he was going to struggle to qualify after that. And Swords Rex just
he took off down the back straight. He took off down the back straight to even get himself in position.
Yeah. I'm not as convinced, Ian. I have to say, I thought after watching that heat the other night, he's a million to win a Ledger after that. I'd be disappointed with it, but it's one run. I mean, he's a dog that's won 25 races or something. He's been one of the best dogs we've seen for donkey's years. I have written him off, and I'm probably going to be completely wrong. It's nice. The connections are probably relieved to hear me say that, because they'll probably know that it'll be rubbish and he'll go on and win the Ledger now or something. But I wrote him off after that. I just wasn't as taken as you were.
Taken is not the term now. Like, he's what price was he on the night? He's even money on the night, and he didn't do much into the opening corner. Obviously, Glengar Martha's edging off slightly, but like, he missed a kick and he doesn't get racing. And like, it's not as if he doesn't know his way around his Limerick. Like, his biggest success came at Limerick, winning the Kirby in 2022. But I thought off the second bend there was absolutely no chance of him qualifying. But the mere fact that he was right on their heels down at the third bend and pitching for a qualifying position sort of said enough to me to suggest that there was plenty of pace shown in defeat. He qualifies as one of the fastest forts in, like, that's his one mulligan. Like, he's not getting a mulligan after this. He makes that mistake again. He makes that mistake at Trap Rise again, and he's gone out of the competition. But the same can be said for a number of the runners at the top of the market. This isn't a Ledger where you can afford serious mistakes and recover, because while there's plenty of dogs at big prices, a lot of those dogs at big prices are still capable of the 2970 run. You know what I mean? They're still fairly strong and powerful. Like, there's no dead wood in this competition now.
No, and to be fair now, and might read me as being harsh about Swords Rex. I hope I'm not being, because he's been a fabulous dog. But like, it's only a couple of runs ago he ran a huge race in Curry Park. Now, it was a race that he ought to have been winning, but there was a lot to like about the way he put it to bed so early that night in Curraheen. So, look, he's a terrific dog. I just came away thinking, no, it's not going to happen. And again, I don't know, maybe Thomas saw watching it live, you might have seen something, or you might have been watching them live. The pictures are quite dark in the video. Actually, I found it hard to watch a lot of the videos. Did you?
I found the video. You should have seen what I was watching in Shelburne Park. The live feed to Shelburne Park on Saturday night was honestly it was pitch black nearly. You could barely see it.
Yeah, some of them are.
You were nearly hoping the trap three would be in front. You have the white jacket just to aim at, But no, I thought it was much better in the videos this morning when I was watching them again. Tom, Swords Rex, I'm going to put it down as just a forgivable run. He missed the kick, got squeezed early, got balked on the opening corner, showed pace, didn't find an awful lot up the home straight, but I don't think I'd be ruling him out. I still think he'd be in the top 2 or 3 in the market, no question about it.
Is he possibly the dog that had his bad run early on? Maybe Graham hadn't a whole lot done with him. Maybe he was coming into this competition fresh with it, and he'll progress through the competition. We've often seen it. That's the dog that keeps going. We spoke about it a while ago. I would not rule him out for 1 second, and he's a lot of experience around Limerick, and Graham definitely wouldn't be bringing him here unless he thought he could win it. The one thing, just to go back to something we spoke about Clonbrine Treaty, any of the dogs that have won Kirby's or gone very well in Kirby's seem to skip a year. It seems to be the year after that they excel again, So I think Clonbrine Treaty next year is going to be in for a phenomenal year. It just seems to take an awful lot out of a pup, a Kirby, 5 runs and possibly 6, 7 runs if they've tried the week or 2 weeks before.
Yeah, you make a very valid point. Like they're been thrown into basically Derby company at an early stage, and in a Derby type event with 5 runs, okay, not the 6 runs, but it's still 5 runs. It's a lot of work for a young dog.
It is, and we saw the other Kobe last year. If you remember, we got to the final, and I know because I'd met Jennifer a couple of weeks before. She tried him once or twice in the 3 weeks coming up to it. So that was possibly 6, 7 runs that the other Kobe had in the Kirby, and he wasn't seen for the rest of the year when we all thought he would be. But then this year, you look at what he did, So Clonbrine Treaty, the same thing. Maybe you took a lot out of him, and next year will be his year, but I wouldn't rule him out this year either. I still think he could do it, and he's in the right hands with Graham Holland there and the whole lot, But
I will correct you. I will correct you on one thing. The other Colby was pulled out of the semi-finals last year.
Was he pulled out?
Do you know how I know that?
Go on.
Because I had him backed.
Okay. But he definitely excelled this year, I thought he actually went to the final of it. Okay, sorry.
Yeah, no, he was sadly pulled out. I think he was after doing a big run to quarterfinals, and I think he was pulled out at semis. It was one of those where you get the text and you go, "Oh, for the love of God," you know what I mean? And I thought he had a decent draw off the semi-finals. One of those things.
You have enough of the knee and just open the other mattress.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that now. I have to mention Ballyelan Sonic qualifying for the Scanlon family in second spot. Tom, they this is their derby down there. Do you know what I mean? Like they are dyed in the wool. Like this is their track. And for them to have another one through to the second round of the Ledger is a real thrill.
It's brilliant, Dean, and they sponsor a memorial stake every year inside Limerick to give so much back to the local track, as do a lot of others, but they're brilliant. I'm delighted for the Scanlons, and they've been involved. They've had partner, some of the family have worked in Limerick track and the whole lot, so it's brilliant to see a local family like that doing so well. I've been in the competition and been thereabouts to who knows what could happen.
And those are the things you need in a competition like this. Like we say in Cork, when there's a local runner in the final, it makes such a difference. But anytime there's Limerick dogs involved in the Ledger, it's a good thing.
It is, and it's great for the Ledger. And, we had a county final on Saturday evening here in Limerick, the Piershik and Patrick's Well. We also had the Rugby World Cup final, and we had a good crowd. We thought I was hoping it would be better, but definitely those 2 major events in Limerick. Limerick is the sporting capital, they tell us, of the country, so it did impinge. But I guarantee you're going to see the crowds coming out for the locals next weekend.
Jeez, he got that in very, very, very sneakily, didn't he?
Yeah, the gas thing is, Tommy, outside my door. I could drive 20 minutes. I get to Crow Park, the Aviva, Shelburne Park, Leopardstown. I think we have a fair call for the sporting capital too, Tommy.
But that's because you have to import the teams into you to do it,
How would you ever stop, would you? Let's move on, right? Let's move on before I really put you in your place. Let's talk about one or two of the other big performances before we start going back, and we'll look through the ones we missed out on. Clonrusk Sydney Tommy is a dog who really impressed us through the Derby. There's one thing this dog has, it's an engine. He was 3-1 the other night. 3-1 him, 4-6 Bocco's Crystal. Hindsight, if you were asked in the situation, which would you back? I think price-wise, probably I'd have gone for Clonrusk City just purely at the price. But into the corner. I think I'd have been in Bocco's Crystal, but she's challenged by Anna Bailey down the back, and all of a sudden Clonru's Sydney showing that trademark back straight pace. If you give him the fence early, I'll tell you something, he's a player against any dog.
Yeah, he is, and he's got that. He's not thoroughly exposed by any means. You've got to love the fact that he went by Bocco's Crystal down to the third bend or into the third bend. That's proper pace. Now Bocco's Crystal might tie in nicely with what Tom said a minute ago about Swords Rex, but not being fully wound. I mean, I'd have taken the 4-6 at the first bend. I'd have said, happy days, Bocco's Crystal's in front, she's going to stay there. She actually got what would suggest that she was below her best and maybe needing the run slightly was the fact that Anna Bailey went by her again down to third bend and went on maybe a length. Now she stayed on again.
It sort of looked in the rowing that she was sort of caught in the hop. She just couldn't quite get her legs going like she would be in maybe 2 weeks' time or 3 weeks' time.
That's exactly it. I mean, because if in 3 or 4 weeks' time she's in front, the first bend is going to take a lot more to get by her. But I have to say, I do like Clonru's Sydney. I mean, the time was. I mean, Bacchus Crystal's doing a decent time. It's actually better than most of the winners of the heats on the night. And but I have to say, I like Clonru's Sydney, and there's a dog that's relatively fresh. He obviously ran the Derby and actually ran with real distinction too. He's been given a bit of time to try freshen up, and I mean, if he's going to improve on that, he's going to be a real player. I think you were kind of talking him up even for the Derby because he came out of that stake in Kilkenny, the unraced stake, wasn't it? He finished third in that behind Carrick Fergie. He's a fair tool, just a little bit of lack of early pace, but then he's a big dog. He's a big 80-pound dog. He's going to strengthen up. He's going to improve. Running all the way to the escape is not going to worry him one bit. He's the type of dog that I could see getting into the final. If I ever want to back him to win the competition, I'm not sure. He's the type of dog I could see in the final. I think we lost Ian Tom, have we?
It looks like it. He looks frozen at the moment, But I fully agree with you, Tommy. There. I mean, in fairness, Clonru's Sydney, he did it the hard way. If he didn't want that, he could have every reason to pack it in and leave it there, Anna Bailey, it was a great heat. Anna Bailey, Beepers Lariat, Bacchus Crystal, Reigning Glory, all fantastic dogs. And it's surprising that he went on to win so easily, with the quality heat that was in it,
Well, you know what? And I tell you, when I was looking at the heat as a preview for the heat, and I thought Anna Bailey had a chance. Anna Bailey was a very good dog, ran really well in the Derby last year, but had been in good form coming back into this as well. I thought it was in really good form. Clonru's Sydney that was, to me, because it's a dog that's kind of fresh and you'll probably say entitled to need the run. I say Clonru's Sydney put in a huge performance. Ian, we lost you for a moment. You're back with us.
I'm back with you. I don't know, the Gremlins. Obviously, Dublin's not the centre of the Wi-Fi universe, just the sporting universe. I wouldn't mind if I've got the new bloody computer. I should be fine at this stage. No, Clonru's Sydney, you were saying that, I spotted him early and that Ian's a genius. Is that what you're saying?
No, that's no. You want to go back and watch this again, Ian. Definitely didn't say that, but you were talking about him. You did like that. You were quite keen on that stake in general. I think that unraised stake in Kilkenny and what it might have come out of it.
A lot of fast dogs came out of the competition, no question about it. He was the dog. I actually I was down for the final of it, and it was after the final I went, well, I'm not sure he has the early, and that was going to be the issue. But dogs of his nature, where they are left sort of with a bit of work to do, they tend to wise up pretty quick. And this fellow knows what's his strengths, where to challenge and how to challenge. When the gaps open for him, there's no hesitation. He just bursts through them. He has the pace to do that. And that's what I like about him. And as I've said, there will be an awful lot of inside seeds come this time, 2 or 3 weeks. And if he's still there and he's getting the kind draw, if he's anywhere near the fence and he can get on that fence, I'll tell you something. It's going to take a fair one to contain him. Just looking at the clocks there, Tom, like the 17:41 to the third bend in this race, it's 1 in 29.56. Like his clock home is different gravy compared to the vast majority of the dogs.
It is, and I was just watching there. He actually stayed on over to the pickup as well. So he's a dog who will take this tough going, this winter going, this long run to the pickup that we're talking about. And that was a phenomenal heaty. And Peepers Lariat, Anna Bailey, Reigning Glory, Bacchus Crystal. They were all top class dogs. Anna Bailey we've seen in Limerick for the last 2 years, top class animal as well. So for him to do that and to come from off the pace and to win like that, like you said, he got the rails. But either way, if he didn't get the rails, I think he would have fought his way through to qualify at least, if not have won it as well.
Yeah.
But he's a top class dog, and I think it was the semi final of the Derby. He did a phenomenal run this year, wasn't it? Was it the semi-final he won?
Yeah, he won a semi-final of Derby, yeah.
Yeah, and did a phenomenal run that night. I wonder, was that his final? If he had kept that for the final of the Derby, would he have won the Derby possibly? So I wouldn't rule him out. You know, as we spoke earlier on, the quality of dogs in this Leger this year, like, you know, it's hard to pick a winner. Very hard, you know.
Sorry, I'm just trying to think. What was it? It was actually, was it the quarterfinals of Derby? Was he knocked out the semi-finals of Derby? Yeah. Beg your pardon.
Quarterfinal, was it?
Yeah, quarterfinal. He wasn't in the Derby final. No, he was second. He was second to Trish Junior in the consolation. He was fourth in the quarterfinal or in the semi-finals after finding traffic. But the previous night he'd won in 29.55, picking up Well Met on the line. Bocco's Crystal can certainly be a player, and Anna Bailey. It'd be no surprise to me if the three of those qualifiers there were in the quarterfinals. You know, that's the type of dogs you're talking about. Another dog I want to talk about is Another Holiday. Who, Tommy, we often overlook for these types of events, but I thought he proved in the Derby that the 550 is no problem to him. He's 29.23 at Shelbourne Park for 550 yards. The other night pops out, does everything right, 17.21 off a 528, 29.59. He's just a proper early pace greyhound, and he's not struggling over the 550.
No, he's not, you know, no. And Michael O'Donovan has him, and he's always been thereabouts in all the competitions, hasn't he? You know, and he's just looking for the breakthrough competition. His own locally as well out the road, which is great to see by young lads. And yeah, how could you rule him out either? You know, it was a right good heat in the whole lot as well. So definitely Michael O'Donovan, no stranger to success, knows how to do it in the whole lot. Like, and Michael likes to tip away, keep the head down, and tip away through a competition. And he's definitely a serious player as well. Like, don't rule him out for 1 second, you know.
Tommy, he's one of those dogs where, yes, he's an inside seed, but like, he's in 4 the next night. I think 3 or 4 is where I'd put him every night of the week. He's those, when you put him on the inside, he tends to move off. I think that's his ideal draw.
I don't know why I have it in my head that I can nearly see him in the orange jacket a lot, or the black jacket. He seems to be drawn that sort of you know, middle more than anything else. But he's just a dog I can't get a handle on, because like, he come out and do huge runs like he did in the first. Did he do it the first round of the Derby? Did he do a big run? I think he did
29.23, yeah.
29.23, like, and then was beaten the next night, was knocked out the third night. Okay, it was in a huge run, whatever, behind the laddie that, but just I don't know what to expect on night. No, watching the heat again, Penny's Links ran a super race to get second ahead of Music Lightweight, to come by Music Lightweight to grab second spot. But Another Holiday wasn't stopping at the line, definitely wasn't. But he is a dog that, like, going all the way to the Escape 2 might just be a bit of a stretch. It might stretch him a bit further, because
that's your worry. There's probably no coincidence that his best run over 550 yards came in the first round of the Derby. And thereafter struggled to match that. And it could be a similar scenario in Limerick. You know, it's a very stiff 550-yard trip, and he's after doing enough in the opening round to suggest that it might have left a mark.
Yeah, look, he did, but like, when you've got that ability, a dog like that, and he gets out in front, he's going to give everything, and that's what he does. And he did it last year plenty of times, popped out and posted big runs. I just don't know that we're going to get them in 5 runs in a classic over 550. I just look at, maybe he'll prove me wrong over the course of the competition, but I don't have him down as one of the ones. I don't have him down as a likely finalist at the moment. But talent wise, he's right up there. It's what we have. You know what? At the moment, I keep going on about it. I seem to harp on about the depth of quality in the country at the moment. What you need to raise your head above the parapet is to be a dog that can do it every week at the very top level, and still have something left at the end of 4, 5, 6 weeks, whatever it is. I just, you know, it demands everything every day. So when you see a dog of disability, you're just being picky. You're just being a little bit kind of going, you know, let him, again, he's won, and this is the punter's head on again. I always think the likes of him, I have to let him prove it to me, rather than me jump on the back and say, yeah, he's a great dog, jump on the bandwagon and say he's great, like, or he's going to win a Leger. I think I'd rather let him prove it to me than jump in and back it now. And if it came to a case that he was in a final or a semi-final and he had a good draw, that's when I'd be kind of trying to take advantage. At the moment, no, I'm happy to leave him alone.
Yeah, you mentioned Penny's Links in second spot. He was a big 12-1 on the night. I'm not sure he'll be 12-1 in too many heats going forward. He's a dog that's been showing plenty of pace in Shelbourne Park. Unlike his brother, Deadly Jet, who was back and forth, he hasn't really shown terrific early speed yet, but he's showing loads of pace, and he's clearly a dog coming forward. It was only his 10th race tonight. Obviously, a half brother to Susie Sapphire. good. The Jetstream Links really is breeding them. She hasn't produced another Susie Sapphire yet, but she produced some very fast ones, some talented ones in this litter. And she also had the semi-final or second place finish in the UK Oaks the other night as well, just to add to it. Let's go back through the heats that we missed out on. We'll let you start, Tom, because Disco Pants, you've already alluded to him. He's going on 4 years of age in March. What a start he's been for John Breen and Conor Healy. 29.59 is a good run, but you were suggesting earlier on it was probably in the best of conditions.
Yeah, possibly early in the night there was no rain. The track was in super condition, but he's a great performer. He's been thereabouts in an awful lot of competitions as well. And look, he's bred. I love I love the breeding and watching bitches myself, but he's bred up the road by John Meehan ourselves in Cratloe and Newmarket Fergus. And it's great to see dogs like that, 4 years of age. I think is he 4 years of age next March, still doing it. Will he be in the decider? Very unlikely. But by God, he can produce it a bit like Kilgalgan Zeus producer as well, an old performer as well. That was one other thing that the trios Saturday night were phenomenal. A friend of mine got up the Kilgalgan Zeus trio, €314, and there was an awful lot of 300s as well.
I was gonna say there was one race won by one of the favourites, and it paid like 300 quid. And I mean, like when I'm talking about one of the favourites, like it could have been a Clonroos Sydney or maybe it wasn't a Ballymac Run. It was one of those contests, but it just so happens that one or two of the other big guns were out of it. It paid huge. It was something to keep an eye on. The trios down Limerick and Saturday night were, as you say, pretty phenomenal. Tommy Disco Panza, and he's a grand campaigner. We know what he's capable of. He starts, he stays. He's won over further than the 550-yard trip. So when he got on the bunny, he was always going to be hard to pick up.
Yeah, he's 14 wins on his card as well. He's been a smashing dog. We've been watching him for a long time, and you can't help but get a bit of a connection to the dogs that show that longevity and at the top level and tend to produce, well, I was going to say month on month, probably year on year.
He's what I'd describe as a punting dog. Whereas if he's put into the right race, you can put your money down and you can be absolutely certain he'll run his heart out.
That's a good way of putting it in. The type of dog you can't help but like.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We spoke about Balnabola Una, so impressive in the second heat, beating Glorious Best. We never actually mentioned Glorious Best. It was a good run in second spot by her, Tom, or by him.
Yeah. That was which heat was that, Ian?
He was behind, Balnabola Una in the second heat.
Oh, Balnabola,
for Pat O'Connell
and Trinity June. That was the one. Yeah. I can't even remember that heat. No, to tell you the truth, Ian.
That's why we're bringing you here, folks. All the details.
Ian loves to put me in a spotlight,
No problem. Don't worry about it. Was second.
Still trying to get you back to that sporting county.
That'll shut him up, Tom. One thing I noticed about Glorious Best, if you look at his last 2-3 starts around Limerick, 30 seconds, 29.95, 29.99 the other night. He does have a 29.66 in his card. So if he did happen to find himself in front, he is pretty strong. Not one you could dismiss. That Ballydoyle Peach, that pedigree on the dam side, there's plenty of strength there. The Ballymac Best and the Sire is more about early speed, but just one to keep a note of. On to Heat 3, the aforementioned Kilcolgan Zeus. Great for Nilas to have a winner, but for Karen Gagan also to have a winner, it's hugely important. She does an awful lot of good work. Karen's a lovely woman, and she often brings in the retired greyhounds, and they meet the crowds coming into the park.
Yeah, and for Neely Conn, Neely is a local trainer as well out the road for us, and it's fantastic to see the likes of Karen getting winners like that. He did the exact same, I think, in the first round of the Ledger last year, and the reason I know that is a friend of mine who backed him and got the trio on him said he did the exact same last year, flew out and did the job, and it's fantastic to see local dogs in. It means so much. The Ledger means so much down here. I'm sure it's the same in every, like the Laurels in Cork and the whole lot, to see local winners getting a success. And Neely, Neely's on the road a long time, travels up and down to Dublin every week with 1, 2, 3, 5 dogs, loves his racing. It's great for to see Neely getting a win like that,
It's good when you could say like a dog has 6 wins and 2 of them came in the first round of classics. I wish it'd have been 3, because I think in the first round of the 2022 Derby I backed him at 12-1 in Shelburne Park, and he was nutted by a short head. I'll never forget that one. We'll move on. Nilas O'Connell, obviously, well done to him with Kilcolgan, who was Boyle Sports Gift was second. He's just a great campaigner for John Boyle and Paul Hennessy, and back in third was Deadly Style. I'm not sure there'll be a Ledger winner coming out of that heat. On to heat 4. This was an interesting heat, Tommy. No question about it. Ballymac Run was strong. She got up on the line to chin Mr. Chelm, who eventually finished 4th, but he does qualify the artist formerly known as Kildare, Sonia Grande Hookham. This was a bit of a blanket finish, but it went to Ballymac Run, Tommy, and she's been in fine form this year.
She has been in very good form, actually. She actually was fancying her in Curryheen Park not that long ago, and just things didn't happen. But it was a kind of a funny heat in the sense that I think Mr. Chelm, when he popped out, when he was in front down the back, I think he's a certainty to win. I know he wouldn't, we don't have him down as a massively strong stayer, but in good enough form that you would have thought that he might have pulled away a bit. Maybe he entitled to need it, maybe, but
his first run since September 2nd, Derby final night.
Yeah,
so,
yeah, he's entitled
it's
to
a
need
while
it
ago,
and will improve. I think there'd be encouragement from the fact that he was in front because his Achilles heel would normally be whether he'd break or not, he'd be able to get around that first bend or with a clear run, because it was actually Ballymac Run who kind of led to almost to the bend. Yeah, she's been in very good form actually this season. She's another one that, like, if you look at her form figures, I mean, she's very seldom out of the first three. She just runs her heart out every night again at a top level. So I wouldn't say there's definitely not a Ledger winner in that heat now.
No.
There's potential improvers there, including Sonia and Grande, who ran
the first 4 qualified. Like obviously Hookham and Sonia and Grande both have plenty of classic form there. Hookham has been turned into a talented stayer in recent times, but he is the Produce Stakes runner-up. Sonia and Grande has a couple of terrific runs on his card around Shelburne Park, and young Jack Kennelly's been getting a great tune out of him, Tom.
Yeah, absolutely. And he was at the Cambridgeshire. He won here in Limerick a couple of weeks ago. Hookham, so no stranger to Limerick track, and a top class animal. And yeah, I disagree. I think, Tommy, the 1742 to the third bend and 542, 2986. I think they're poor stats now. I can't see a Ledger winner in it, but Kildare, he has failed. I think he promised so much in the early stages in everything, in the Kirby, and he went to Derby. He got to the final of the English Derby, I think, didn't he?
He was second in the English Derby, yeah.
The English Derby, and have we seen the best of him? Is he going backwards? He looked like the way he finished the other night. He
said it. I was going to say he lost 6 months. They went to the UK with them and just didn't happen from over there. And when he came back to Ireland, everyone was sort of saying, well, this dog is done. And all of a sudden showing not just glimpses of form, but some proper form through the Derby. Like he does a 29-21 in the Derby. That would have been the 3rd round, I think, against Trinity Junior. His form has been good this year compared to certainly what it was like in the UK. I think definitely the other night he blew up. I think there's no question about that. I'd say he's far from fully wound up at this stage. I think they looked at the inside and went, well, we'll get first run on them, and like not that you can do an awful lot in the last week of it if you don't have them fully tuned. And I'd say there's far better to come from him. It's not a heat where. Certainly, there's no surprise to me if any of those 4 got to a Ledger final. Now, not all 4 of them are going to get there, but certainly capable of at least one of them being in the Ledger final. And I wouldn't be ruling out.
Yeah, do you know what, Ian? I'm just looking at, has everything changed? We're hearing there, and you can compare it to horses and greyhounds and the whole lot as well. Everybody's looking to peak at a certain time. The Rugby World Cup, we hear there about take no notice of England in the early matches or the build up to it. New Zealand the same, South Africa the same. Everybody's looking to peak. So maybe, possibly, as we spoke earlier on, dogs will come into it having been laid off or eased up, and that they were running races and hope that they qualify. Mr. Sheldon, possibly the same situation. Maybe Peter just brought him in undercooked, hoping he'd get there. And the reason I'm getting this is I was spoken to Dolores Root last year when she was coming for the Kirby, and she said, you don't want to be bringing a dog in even 3/4 done here. You want to let the dog progress and hope that you get through your early stages and that you're peaking at the end of it. So is sport totally changing, and are the greyhound trainers looking at and listening to the international professional rugby and sports professionals?
I think there's more of a science to it these days. You can't, like, if your dog's doing 29-30, let's say, the other night in the first round, you're going, we've probably gone too early here.
Yeah.
Tommy?
Yeah. I just think that perhaps now this is only me trying to formulate some sort of idea about what might be happening with Mr. Chelm, but I just wonder, was there a bit of a squeeze, a bit of a push on, to try get him ready for the Derby? in a space of time that it wasn't possible to really get him fully tuned, and it kind of pushed on with the dog really hard to do the best that he could to try get him into a Derby final and maybe have a chance to win the Derby, and that he might just be an awful lot better going through this competition. That's what I would think. I would expect a fairly sizable step forward from
Yeah,
that run
no,
the other night. I look at, I have him down as a look at. He's a dog that hasn't won stuff in terms of he's run really well to a very extremely high level. Um,
he was second. He was
but
second
I
in
could,
this Derby, and he won
yeah,
the Derby. He won the Derby place last year.
place.
But
I
that's
could
it.
see him. I could, yeah, but I could definitely see him being in the final, and who knows? But I just think I would be surprised if he doesn't step forward with each run. I'll be honest, and I do think he'll go deep in the competition.
No, that's fair enough. We've mentioned Bobsleigh Sid beating Clonbrine Ollie, who ran a big race, and Milleridge Levi continues to run very strongly and very consistently back in third. On to Heat 6, we spoke of Another Holiday beating Penny's Links and Music Glideway. Actually, we didn't speak all that much about Music Glideway. Obviously, a big Limerick connection there. Bob Shannon would have been there the other evening, I'm sure, to watch Music Glideway. Again, he had a few weeks off after winning so well at Limerick on October 7th. Tom, I'm sure there's better to come from him.
There is, and I met Bob, the first person I met when I came into the stadium. He was literally, he ran straight from the county final. Bob is a proud and piercing man in Limerick, So he was in with his big, proud and piercing top on him, And I'm delighted for Bob. We were all wishing so much in the final of the Derby this year that Bob, if anyone deserves a huge win, it's Bob. He's put an awful lot of money into the game. He's represented Gobus, he's represented advisory councils, he's done everything. He's sat as stewards in Limerick track. He's a fantastic man. And again, maybe taking no notice of the run the other night. He looked like he was starting to run out of steam coming home. I think there's an awful lot more left in him. A wide seat as well, isn't he? Is. So chances are he's going to be getting his box most nights, and it would be fantastic. If we would bet against Pat Gilfoyle for
yeah, he's not bad. He's not bad, that fella.
He's handy
Tommy,
enough with it,
Tommy, the Clare came out of Tom there a second ago. He said he ran out of steam. Music Glide Away. There's a touch of the Clonbrine Treaty about him. It's that first 5 yards, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Like he had a run in Limerick there a few weeks ago, didn't he? Start of the month, did a decent trial. I'd expect more from him, but I just wonder, did he like he going through the Derby? I just wonder, is he going to Pat's done his job to try and get him right, to give him the experience, run him around the track, give him maybe a week or two off, and try to get him fresh. I just wonder how he's a strong dog now, so maybe he's the type that has the constitution to take it, but I just wonder will it take his toll. Yeah, I'm on the fence with Music Glideway at the moment in terms of what he can achieve.
That's fair enough. We'll move on to Heat 7. The biggest shock of the round in terms of the pricing. Miss Minnie Holly was 20-1. This was a very messy affair. Swords Fudge and Ballymacfin sadly knocked to the deck in the opening corner. Sober Glory, I don't know how he actually grabbed second. I still, having looked at it 5 times, I still didn't think he was second in the photo finish. No. But he chins Groucho's Vic, and Ryhope Beach is only another short head behind them in third spot. So Miss Minnie Holly gets loose. That was simple. There was traffic thereafter. Groucho's Vic turned second, challenged at the third bend, was forced to check. He in turn forced Sober Glory to check. Miss Minnie Holly got away in them in the end. Sober Glory running on strongly to grab second from Groucho's Vic and Ryhope Beach. Let's start with Miss Minnie Holly, Tom. Tommy O'Donovan won this competition only 2 to 3 years ago with the Epic Dog.
Yeah.
And Miss Minnie Holly, she's not going to be winning a Ledger. I don't think Tommy would mind me saying that. But she's a likeable sort, and she certainly won, given her pedigree, that they'll be breeding down the line.
Yeah, and Bros Ran Bono starting to come through now and produce a couple of nice dogs, Yeah, it was a messy race. Thanks be to God, the 2 dogs got knocked over, got up and ran on. Unfortunately, the finish were down the field. It was very unfortunate for them. But yeah, Miss Punningpenny, she got the run, didn't she? Above the bend, was it? I'm not sure, was it one who ran off the bend and took the other ones out of it? But she got her clear run all the way around, and she drove on, and she finished very strong, And that's the kind of bitch possibly you could see qualifying, even if she doesn't win, she could keep qualifying all the way through. Tommy O'Donovan, yeah, I can't see her being a winner. No, I agree there. Groucho's Vic, and a local dog, delighted for the cars. They're fantastic supporters for Limerick Track. Every week you're in there, whether it's Thursday night or Saturday night, they're inside racing their dogs. So to see them qualifying as well is fantastic. Sober Glory, yeah, I think it's a race we can nearly null and void. You know,
Yeah.
it was so messy. You know,
I think I agree with that sentiment. Tommy, I'm sure is one of those races where it's not something you want to be reflecting on too much. You know what I mean?
No, no, it's not. Especially if you have Derby runner up, get knocked over. It's not. It's far from ideal. But there are a few things about it. One, the winner, Miss Minnie Holly. Well, she thought she was a certainty to win the semi final of the Bartley in Curling Park. Maybe Trap One beat her that night. That was an A2. She was stepping into the Leisure Company. She's entitled to be a 20-1 chance, but she's had very little racing. Very, very little racing. Is that 6 races now, maybe?
Yeah, that's her
I
seventh
mean,
race. Yeah, the other night.
seventh race, like that's a fair performance to do that in her seventh ever race. If you had a bitch that good, you'd be fairly excited about things. She'd beaten good dogs, Sober Glory and Groucho's Vic, and Ryhope Beach ran a remarkable race. I'll let you talk about Ryhope Beach, but he ran some race to finish as close as he did.
Myself and Ryhope Beach have a very much a love-hate affair. Um,
don't we
I
all,
just,
Sister Kirby? Yeah.
I know, and we all know how talented he is. But
Yeah.
I think the glimpses of early speed we saw in his first couple of races were only that. He's a dog where, if he was mine now, the target is the 600-yard race at the Winter Racing Festival, and then have a go next year at the 600 early in the year in Shelburne Park. And that's his trip. I think that's his trip, and that's going to be his trip, because I just don't think he has the early speed to take them on over this type of distance. The sharp performers, Sober Glory, his brother actually has a bit more early. Didn't show it the other night. Got done early, and he's a massive engine. Like that 28:37 trial in Kilkenny is unbelievable. Like that's unbelievable, that run. I also saw. I'm not even so sure. I saw the clock from his own official at Limerick. Let's just say he'll be going considerably faster with a clear run, if he gets it.
Yeah.
He is a dog that wants the fence. His Achilles heel is that 1 yard to the corner. That's his issue. But there's no question. There's a couple of massive runs in him. No question about that. He is potentially a Ledger winner. He is in 3 the next night. He'll want to be doing things right, but it's not a heat where there's massive early speed, so he could feasibly turn close enough to the pace. He's one to keep an eye on. Groucho's Vic, I'm actually a big fan of Groucho's Vic. Tommy, you probably remember me speaking about him. I thought he ran very well in recent weeks, both at Shelburne and at Curraheen, and yeah, I think he's a nice dog. Again, he's one that just needs to find that 1 yard of traps, but outside of that, I think he has loads of pace. I don't think that'll be a problem going forward for him. And Ryhope Beach did qualify back in 4th. On to Heat 8, we've mentioned Heat 9, we've mentioned Heat 10, we have mentioned Heat 11. Heat 11, Tommy. Tommy Lyons, I've got to go to first, because we were in Curraheen Park on Laurel's final night, and Gate Time Hugo, as I said to you before the race, I said this fellow should not be odds against. He is a massive engine. If he gets any sort of a run, he'll win. The other night, he wasn't odds against. He was very, very short. And if you had backed him off the second bench, you were a little bit concerned at 1 to 3, but his engine is not in doubt. He has huge pace down the back straight, and he finishes like a train.
If you backed him at 1 to 3 the other night, you knew the dog well enough to know exactly where he'd be out of the second bend in terms of that, the type of dog he is. He's not going to lead too many heats. He's, the most encouraging thing I think for him is that he's put three good runs like that together, 3 winning runs together. Sorry, should I say? That's important for him, I think, to rebuild confidence in the dog, because he looked a serious animal when he was in the Kirby. He did it. Was it the semi final of the Kirby? He put in a huge run.
Yeah, he did the 28:09 run, the semi-finals of the Kirby.
28:09, yeah, in the semi-final. I just see it here now, and just didn't get the run. Look, I think we spotted back then that it's the lack of real early pace is always going to be the issue. But I would be encouraged. I don't want to back him to win a Ledger, definitely not for me. But I would, if I backed something to win the Ledger, I would have it in the back of my mind that there's a dog that can beat me in any heat and in the final itself if he gets that far. He's got that type of talent. Huge encouragement for Connections that he's put 3 winning runs back to back, and no reason he won't continue to do that. So add to that, he's seriously fast. Just a dog I haven't warmed to fully.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what to make of him. Listen, he's massively, massively fast, and you've said the issue is probably early speed, but there was races where it wasn't just early speed, and I think the few track changes may have helped him. I'm not saying he's kinky, but I'd say it certainly helps. Just keep him on his toes, shall we say. Tom, there's no question the engine is there. It's just a case of whether he can get the run every night.
Yeah, things need to go his way, even there, it was probably, if I was to pick a heat, it was probably the softest heat in it. And even the time reflects that, and even the splits reflect that. If he was in against the faster dogs, I don't think he'd have been able to do what he did, No doubt about it. If he's in the final of a Ledger, he's going to be a danger because the way he's finishing. But I think things need to go his way. I didn't see his 2 previous races. You're saying there's 3 in a trot there. Did everything go his way? Did things open up for him in the 2 previous races? I just think he needs to be a contender. He needs things to go his way, and more often than not, there will be trouble in a race, and things may go his way. But he's definitely missing that early pace. I don't think I can't see him coming from behind the Clanroo Sydney or some of those dogs that are bobsled dreams are staying on strong as well.
You say that here. You say that.
Go on.
You say that. I knew you were going to fall into that one. I tell you what. Go back to his Derby night run. Guess what he picked up on the line over 600 yards at Shelburne Park?
Clanroo Sydney.
Bobsleigh Dream. Yeah. Now, Tom, Sport Capital.
I'm McClare. I am McClare, man. No, but you can see what I'm saying, that he does need things to go his way.
There's no question, but it's just he is so powerful that, again, he's the type of dog you wouldn't even look at the times. You look at the company. If he's in 29:40 company, he'll be thereabouts, and he'll be doing between 29:40 and 29:50. If he's in 32nd company, he'll be doing around he'll win. But again, he's probably better off in better company, if that makes sense. The gaps are there for him.
Do you think he's
getting the run at them?
Do you think he's like you said there? Are you insinuating that he's not?
No, I'm not insinuating that he'll only go as fast as the dog he's up against. I'm just saying that he's more likely to get a clear passage in that 29:40, 29:50 race.
Okay,
because he'll be behind. He'll pick his own mark. Whereas against the slower dogs, they're going to get in his way. The faster dogs, not so much. And if you give him a clear run in top company, you give him a clear run in any company, he'll do a massive run. Like he's 32 seconds nearly for 600 yards. He's 28:09 for 525 yards, and he's got some huge 550-yard runs. There's no question he is the engine, but it's just a case of where he gets the run. The first bend and the third bend are of vital importance to him. And getting around one isn't a guarantee you'll get around the next one, but there's no question he's the pace.
I suppose as the competition goes on, dogs are going to be getting closer and closer to each other, so you're more inclined to get a bit of trouble. And maybe he'll be there, maybe he'll be in the final. Definitely, if he's in the shake-up going on the back straight, sure. Who would you bet against him?
When you get to a quarterfinal, semi-final of a Ledger, and you've got 4 dogs with blinding early speed, and you've got him stuck in 1 or 2, and he's 6-1. That's a no-brainer. Like that's the race you want him in. Is a race where there is loads of early speed and he's a decent price. All day long, bet and blind. The one couple of dogs we haven't mentioned yet, we're going to mention them now because we'll finish up shortly. Droopy's Bro won Heat 12 for Murtlahy. This was a dog who showed all sorts of promise around Shelburne Park, was pulled out of the opening round of the Juvenile Derby. I think he picked up a problem. He hasn't quite looked himself in recent times, but a bit better the other night. Again, you were suggesting that the conditions at this stage of the evening, Tom, were pretty miserable. He does everything right. Leads early, wins pretty comfortably in 29:78, beating Churchtown Sid by 4.5 lengths. He's a decent yardstick, 2-5, like he was expected to win pretty comfortably, and he did so.
Yeah, it was a solid run all the way around from trap rise to the finishing line. He went about his business so well. Murtlahy always has his dogs primed to be good in the early rounds. Will he be there at the latter rounds? I don't know. I think he was one who was primed, who was spot on, ready to go. And he went all the way to the pickup in front. Could you bet against him? I would, I don't think he's going to be there in the shake-up, but a solid performer. Couldn't fault him, I suppose. But again, it wasn't one of the hotter heats. Was there any superstar in against him? As Ballymacmarino was out. So you probably looked at one of the easier ones, but look, did everything right. You can't fault him either. What more can a dog do except beat what's in front of him?
Tommy, I think you said it right there. He did everything right. You can do no more than that.
Yeah, I think he made a couple of good points actually. Solid from start to finish. I think that's perfectly right about the dog. That's what it was. I mean, there wasn't much early pace in the race. The top dog, Scarty Dream, missed it. He was able to get the rails fairly cheaply. Farrow City, a dog I know very well from Youghal. Had the pace up to kind of lead him into the bend or be joint with him maybe at the bend. Churchtown City, another dog I know well, ran on nicely. But Drugby's Row was just a bit better class, and I would have kind of expected that. Now he's reasonably lightly raced, and you might say he'll improve, but he's actually been quite busy since his introduction in May. It's not like he's really fresh now or anything like that. Um, he's a fair dog, but he's a dog I prefer to see. I prefer to gauge kind of early next year.
Yeah, I
If
think
you know what
that's
I'm
fair.
saying.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
I think you know what I'm saying. Rather than now, I think what he's. I personally don't think at this stage that what he's going to produce in the Ledger is going to be the best of his. What we'll see of him. I think he'll be a good dog next year.
Yeah, he was brought to the track, I would say, with very little schooling done. I think he learned an awful lot in his first 3 or 4 races. I think Mert sort of hinted that as well one night. He said, "This is only, we're only scratching the surface with this lad," and he just hasn't quite looked the same since he came back from that little injury. But certainly the other night was encouraging. I would not be surprised if he does a 29:40 run next week. I know what this dog is capable of. I just don't know whether he's right there at this moment in time, capable of doing it just yet. But I feel there's no problem in doing that in the future. Like he's 29:40 at Shelburne Park for the 550. On a good track at Limerick some night, you never know. We'll move to Heat 13. I was particularly taken by this winner, Nomadic Nova. He's a dog I don't know an awful lot about. September 30th in Shelburne Park, he wins very well in 28:17. Did huge running down the back straight. He's a dog that has loads of early speed. Tom, you mentioned Broadstrand Bono. He's had a couple of good weeks. A couple of very good weeks. There was an unraced stake in Shelburne Park last week. I think he had all 3 heats were won by Broadstrand Bonos. This Nomadic Nova was introduced at around 2025 to one for the Ledger purely on his trial form in that run in Shelburne. Bang, that price disappeared. I rang Damien Lanigan and I said, "What's the story here?" He said, "The right money came from Nomadic Nova." The other night, really? There's a dog leaning in them all the way up the home straight, up to the corner, and he shakes him off, goes second, flies down the back straight, takes it up at the third bend, goes on to win in 29:75. I would have him down as a dog that will be looking to lead early in these types of races. So I thought it was a hell of a run. Very taken by him, Tom.
Yeah, he ran a very hungry dog. In fairness, he wanted that. He wanted that bunny, and he was going to get there as well. Shifted a couple of thumps at the first bend. 5 races. That was his sixth race. Is that the kind of dog that could win a Ledger? Quite possibly. He's going to improve 6 races coming up against that class of a field around him. Drumbeg 10 and Glengar Elvis and Milfieldino. They're all around the track a long time. I was really taken by him. If somebody asked me for an outside bet now, I don't think he's going to be up in I didn't see the betting for the next round, but he's definitely a dog that's going to be thereabout, isn't he? Graham Holland, how could you bet against him? And the white seat, he's middle seated, so his chances are he'll be inside, but he'll be closer to the outside anyway in all the draws, But I thought it ran a really hungry dog, aggressive, hungry, and wanted it, and had every reason to pull back in the first bend. It didn't, drove through,
Yeah, so, Sunshine Dream is a good yardstick out front, like a dog that has raced over 6 bends in the past, has some fine form on his card. Like he's not a dog you should be racing up to and shooting past. Like he would normally make life difficult for you, but I thought Nomadic Nova made light work of the task, Tommy.
Yeah, a few things I'm very impressed with. One thing I'm very worried about. Very impressed with his overall pace. Very impressed with the fact that when you have a dog like Glengar Elvis in the race, and we know what he can do too, and he's holding him at a similar distance all the way to the line. Okay, Glengar Elvis was picking him up, going around the bend after the race was over, and whatever else. I was fierce impressed by that. I like the fact that he has a 206 in Shelburne Park. Gives me encouragement that he's a dog that will break a lot better than 296, which he produced the other night. He effectively missed the kick. Now here's the worrying bit for me. He's a middle seed, and that's good, right? That's fine. But if he's out in trap 6 again in the future, he's in trouble. He's diving left, if you ask me. The 4 dog wants to hold its line to the bend. He wants inside badly going up to the bend, or middle, inside/middle, going into the bend from too early. He's not cutting across it late. He wants it from quite an early stage. If he does that in better company, he's going to be in a load of trouble. But there's something about him. That suggests to me that he's truly out of the top drawer. Truly out of the top drawer. I think there's enough. I've seen enough in having a look back at a couple of videos to think that maybe he is. So there's potential that he's going to start popping out and leading races and whatever else. And if he does that, he's not going to be caught because he stays at 550 very strongly. I just trap six at the moment, unless he's going to start flying out of traps. Trap six is going to be, or a middle is fine. Probably four would be fine for him, but six will be a worry in the future.
Yeah, no, I can see that. I can see that. I think there's more. I think there's better trapping ability there as well. I wouldn't surprise me if he did recover. If he did sort of get to the front early from six on a couple of occasions. But there's always the worry that if he misses at a skip, all of a sudden there's early speed in his inside, and if he's edging in, he's not getting around them. Rather, he's focusing on moving in rather than getting up there. Is what you're saying.
In general, Tom, what's trap six like in Limerick in general terms and year round?
If you have a genuine trap six runner, it's a fantastic box. If you have 5 or 6 outside there, the sweep into the bend is that bend was widened. The track was initially built, and they felt there was a lot of trouble because the hare was coming sweeping too soon. So they widened the track and widened the first bend, so the hare is staying out further. And if you have a genuine trap six dog, he's coming down off the camber and he can really, really sweep once he holds his line gun up. If you have a 4 or a 5 pushing out, it may be keeping them out, especially if they're too tight above the first bend. But if you have a genuine trap six who has a bit of early pace, the sweep down off the first bend is phenomenal, and it's hard to beat it in Limerick,
Yeah, that's 13 heats done. Sunshine Dream and Glengar Elvis following Nomadic Nova through into the second round. These 8 second round heats on Saturday night. We won't go through them at this stage. There's still a lot of work to do. But I think it's safe to say it's a clean slate now for the dogs that are remaining. 3 to qualify from here on in. Tom, there's no room for error. It's a hot ledger. Give me your likely winner. Likely is the wrong term. Give me your speculative winner.
My speculative winner is Clonbrine Treaty, and I'm going to hold out a candle for that last dog we just spoke about, Nomadic Nova. I do agree with Tommy now that I will bow to your superior excellence when he does point that out. He is a middle seat runner and he is going to be edging in, but I'm going to go with Clonbrine Treaty. Bobsleigh Dream, Pat Buckley's runners are never going to be far away in Limerick. Pat targets this competition every year. He's a proud Limerick man and he wants this in his folder, and I would give an outside hope for losing Clyde away, Bob Shannon's dog, But I'll go with Clonbrine Treaty as the potential winner. And I know I'm contradicting myself earlier on saying that the Kirby winner it takes a year for them to recover, but I'm going to take a shot in Clonbrine Treaty,
Well, he said good's a half a year. We'll give him that. Tommy?
Yeah.
I nominate 2 that I think will be finalists. It'll be Clonroe Sydney and Bobsleigh Dream. In terms of winning the competition, I think it's impossible at the moment. It's purely speculative, as you said beforehand. Asking for the winner of the ledger, I think at this stage. I think Tom is right here. There's something little X factor about that Nomadic Nova. I have my concerns. Obviously, I've voiced them there now, but there's something maybe potentially special about it. I was like you, Ian, as well. Very curious when I saw the money for it because it was a dog I didn't know much about. So I was kind of going, I need to look at this dog a little bit closer.
I glimpsed at they sent through the prices, Boyle Sports, so I glimpsed at it, and I looked at the top of the bark, and it was there was nothing sort of astounding there. So I was writing the column for balls.ie on Friday, and I said, I'll open up the betting again. I'll just talk about the first few in the top of the market. There was Nomadic Nova. It was like he'd been sort of parachuted in. Where did this fella come from? And I looked at him and oh no, yeah, that's that dog. Yeah, I rang Damien. I said, well, he says, the right money came for him. And I was like, okay, fair enough. Right, that'll do. And I went back and looked at his run at Shelburne Park and went, God, he did show big pace down the back straight that night. How did he not really sort of just grab me that night? Maybe there was a few fast runs on the card. But then the other night, I was really taken by him. I was looking forward to seeing him running after seeing all that. Yeah, I was really taken by him. I certainly wouldn't put anyone off backing Nomadic Nova. The major problem there is that the value is gone. The layers are now aware of them, and the money's there, so you're not going to get the price you need to get. I'd be looking around the 16-20 to 1 mark, and something that can improve for its opening round effort, something like a Bocco's Crystal or a Mr. Cheltenham or something like that we definitely didn't see the best of in the opening round.
I find actually funny enough. I think I've talked about this before. The way I look at races, and it's the exact same way I look at markets. When I look at a race, I have an expectation in my mind of how it'll go. And if something doesn't go to how I expect it to go, I look into it more and go, why did that happen? Was there something I didn't see? Did I not know something about the horse or the dog or whatever? And the market was the exact same. I looked into the ledger market the other day. I was going, okay, that's how it should be. What? Who the hell is Nomadic Nova? And so I had to go and I had a little bit of investigation. Go, who is Nomadic Nova? I just didn't know the dog, to be honest about it. So yeah, and
it's funny. One of the last times I remember something like that happening from the kennel was a certain dog called Claire's Rocket appeared in Shelburne Park, and it was
Yeah,
money from to win this
yeah,
competition. We were like, what? What? And
yeah.
I'm not
Who's
saying he's
that?
a Claire's Rocket, but I'll tell you something. I wouldn't be surprised if he did a 29:30 next week. He can run. There's no question about that. Um, that's the ledger, done and
Ian,
dusted.
just one
Go
more
ahead,
before
Tom.
we move on. Our new sponsors. It's fantastic to have a
Oh
new
yes,
sponsor.
sorry, Bickham. I
And
did actually mean to come here to start. You signed in for 4 years, Tom.
signed up for 4 years. Fantastic sponsor, and it's let's just say it's outside of dog racing. It's not a bookmaking company. It's not anyone directly associated with dog racing, which is fantastic to see. Our game is on the up and up and up again, attracting outside sponsors like this. Willwego.com. They're an online ticketing an event company where you can any event that's on you can book your tickets or buy your tickets online with the company. They're fantastic to see them coming on board. I wish them the very best of luck, and I know we'll be supporting them 100% from Limerick. And it's great to see outside we just companies from outside of Greyhound racing coming on board. And sporting capital of Ireland. Why wouldn't they come to Limerick?
The sporting capital of Ireland outside Dublin. Tommy, you've been always banging this drum. It's important for us to attract sponsors that aren't ourselves, that aren't within the industry.
Very much so. You continue to go within the industry, and all of a sudden it gets so small. It's insular. It's not a long term solution to anything. It's not a long term solution at all. So getting sponsorship outside. Talked to Jimmy Barry Murphy last week saying about our company, so how important it was to get Bar One involved for the Laurels. And this is brilliant. A 4 year sponsorship from Will We Go, as Tom said, a firm outside of the sport, indeed, which is it's huge actually, and whoever was involved in that needs plenty of praise for getting Will Be Go involved here. And I hope there is greyhound racing is a much more transparent sport now than it was years ago. And I hope people are getting to see that and again, rebuilding their trust in what type of positive game it is rather than what people perceive it to be or have perceived it to be. I think this is a huge step. And the fact that the Will Be Go.com are involved is brilliant on the part of it's brilliant for Limerick, obviously, but I think for the wider sport, it's very important.
Yeah, it is. No, absolutely. Here. Best of luck to all involved in the ledger. And again, our thanks to the sponsors, willwego.com. I know I'll be checking in them, if I'm buying tickets for anything else. We have to support our sponsors also. That's very
Yeah.
important.
Yeah.
A few other bits at the weekend, gentlemen. I just want to, at this stage, we don't have an awful lot of time. We'll race through them. There was the Puppy Oak semi-finals at Shelburne Park on Saturday night, as well as the semi-finals of the Paddy Merriman Memorial. The two heats of the Paddy Merriman Memorial went to Uncle Tom, diving in from trap 4 in the early hours, but got to the front, wins a length in 28.50. And Mustang Fever produced a big run to get up to win by a neck in the second semi-final in 28.53. That's a wide open contest. Great final to look forward to next week. Great to see Mark Robinson with another decent dog, and Uncle Tom, of course, he won the Derby a few years back with Ballyan Sim, and Mustang Fever running so well for Sean Burke and Paul Harrig. A nice type, that Mustang Fever, certainly one to keep an eye on going forward. She could well have been, a challenger in the Puppy Oaks, but here she is in the Paddy Merriman Memorial. It's worth twice the money, 10 grand an offer to the winner of the Paddy Merriman Memorial. The suit semi-finals of the RPG TV Puppy Oaks will be, of course, both finals will be on Shelburne, will be on RPG TV on Saturday night. And the first heat was won by Scooby Countess. This lady ran an unraced stake at Shelburne Park a matter of weeks ago only. She's closely related, obviously, to the two Derby winners, Born Warrior and the other Colby. Scooby Princess is out of Mount Taylor Queen, who is their dam. This was just her fourth start the other night. She showed a bit of promise in that unraced stake, looked far from the finished product. I actually spoke to Jennifer before she ran her debut and said to me, she said, this lady's only come back from seas and she's very puppish. She said, but she can run a bit. She certainly can. 28.20 off the bunny the other night. Tommy, did you catch up with it?
No, didn't get a chance in.
Very, very impressive. She looks a really, really bright prospect, this lady, 28.20. She beat Sing Along Dolly, who was another very bright prospect. Short Grip, the juvenile Derby runner-up, was back in third. A slightly below par run from Short Grip. She's been on the go now for a few weeks. I'm sure they'll give her a freshen up week. I wouldn't say there'll be an awful lot of work with her this week. I'd say they'll leave her fresh and well for next week. She's certainly a leading player. On to the second semi-final. It was great to see Lincoln Legacy opening her account. She too ran in the unraced stake, the bitch unraced stake at Shelburne Park, showed all sorts of early speed. She had been picked up in each of her previous 4 outings, and yet her times were 28.59, 28.46, 28.48, 28.48, having qualified in 28.38. And the other night, She does 28.57, but she's far enough clear and she holds on by a length. She has tremendous early speed. When she strengthens up over the winter and comes back next year, I have no doubt she will be an Oaks contender. Congratulations to Pat McGee for getting her off the mark the other evening. She's a big player on Saturday night. She's racing from the outside in the final. She is an inside seed, but she has the early speed to clear them. I certainly wouldn't dismiss her. Rushy Meadows is a nice prospect in second, and Droopy Zadell was back in third, beaten just the length. A cracking Puppy Oaks, cracking Paddy Murray Memorial. Two semi-finals of the Fair Warrior were on Sunday afternoon. They were both won in fine style. Also, Hawkfield Scar running a big race for Pat Doran and Jerry Connors, and the other heat was won by Pavilion Fire, who has now won 3 out of 3 around Mullingar. Clearly loves the place. He is so strong. He's yet to lead to the opening corner, but he's been second into the back straight in all 3 occasions. Absolutely stormed home to post 21.16. I'm going to say 21.16. Yeah, 21.16, which if you look at the clocks, I think it's about the 9th fastest time ever done at Mullingar. Much will depend on the final, whether he gets around a close second or third before storming up the home straight again. But again, another wide open final. That'll be on Racing Post Greyhound television on Sunday. And last, but certainly not least, going to get him up for air, the English Oaks was on Saturday night. Drewby's Elsa was representing Ireland, racing from Trap 5 for Robert Gleeson. She popped out. She couldn't get to the corner. She just had an awful draw. She wanted the fence. We knew that pretty early. It was the bitch in Ford, the Jetstream Angel bitch, I think is her name. She's a half sister to Susie Sapphire. She got to the front, showed terrific early speed, but No Rush, the favourite, who's been a star around the UK for a couple of years at this stage. She was too close. She got up in the line to win. Drewby's Elsa was sent back to 5th off the second bend and stormed home. She's only beaten a length of a quarter, I think, and she's clear to the escape. She's clearly a bitch coming forward in leaps and bounds. I'm sure she'll be heading to the likes of the Winter Racing Festival and the Puppy Oaks. And as I said earlier on, the winners have mentioned that it could be No Rush's final race, but if not, they are maybe eyeing up a tilt at the Winter Racing Festival, for which they are more than welcome. We want to see some English challengers coming over to the Winter Racing Festival. I'm sure after last year's success, there will be a couple more this year, Tommy.
Yeah, hopefully that's what we want. We've always said it. The industry isn't huge worldwide, so let's if we're both so interested in it and have such good dogs, we're traveling over quite a bit at the moment, and hopefully they'll come back and travel over. And if they do get success, all the better. There has to be a balance somewhere along the line. There's no point coming over to get beaten. So if they have good enough dogs, take a chance. Good enough bitches and dogs, take a chance.
Absolutely. Tom, we are now heading into November. Tomorrow is the first day of November. The ledger is only after starting. We have so much quality racing to look forward to. Our calendar really is stretched out these days. It's a 12-month affair. And to have brilliant racing right the way through to Christmas can only be good for the sport.
Absolutely. We go back a couple of years ago, and before the Night of the Stars, or when the ledger was earlier, the winter dog, the trainers used to leave off their dogs or lay off their dogs for the winter, November, December, January, February, even come back with the Easter Cup then in mind, but the calendar, as you said, it's full. It's we were even looking at Limerick. We had another couple of potential sponsors coming online. One that wanted to run an unraced. We said, where can we fit it in? There is no slots left for an unraced really now when you look at it.
Yeah.
Or a juvenile race, but it's fantastic to see such a calendar and sponsors on board. It's great. Dog racing is definitely on the up and up and up. What more can you say about it?
No, that's it. Will we see an Ocean's dog in the ledger next year?
Every year I come on with you, Ian. This advisory council now about 6 years, and every year I said I'm going to be on some year talking to the Kirby or the Ledger about an Ocean dog. And no, graders is all I seem to be breeding these days, Ian. With a bit of luck up the course and feel right, but no, track it's all graders. So
we'll keep fighting the fight.
Keep trying.
Keep battling on. Tommy, you wanted to come in there?
I'm just going to say it's difficult to fit things into a calendar at the moment because the calendar is good, and that's the reason. The calendar that will bring you around the country a bit. At the top level is very, very good at the moment, and it kind of keeps it moving right from start to finish. It takes a lot of time to tweak a calendar to get it right, and we've always said this is wrong and that's wrong and this is clashing. At the moment, it's settled in the last couple of years, and it's settled really, really well on a good program that I think carries us now from start to finish in the year.
There could be a very different looking calendar next year, for the reason that Shelburne Park is doing a lot of work. Just don't be surprised if it was switched around for 1 year, but I think it's only a 1 year thing.
look, Ian, we're always open in Limerick to take the Derby down to Limerick and facilitate to you. And it can be done. We've no problem with that. And we can move the Ledger back to earlier in the year just to facilitate
the Derby is staying in the sporting capital of Ireland in Dublin. Okay.
But you have to have a good finished stadium for it, Ian, and look, we'll help you out.
Gentlemen, a pleasure as always. Tom Fitz, Tommy Lyons. We look forward to the remaining action in the willweco.com Ledger, a cracking competition to look forward to. Don't forget, a lot of Irish racing on Racing Post Greyhound television at the weekend, due to the fact that it is their bonfire night, as they say, Guy Fawkes. No Greyhound racing over the weekend in the UK. So if you are at home and you've nothing better to do, I would suggest you go to the track. But if you don't, tune in and watch the action from Shelburne Park, Mullingar. Are they showing Limerick on Saturday night?
They're showing Limerick on Saturday night, the premier competition in the country at the moment, of course.
Are they? Yeah. Irish extravaganza on. I'm just looking it up here.
You're going to prove me wrong again, now, Friday.
And they are taking in the Irish Saint Ledger from Limerick. That is unbelievable. That's great. Fantastic. So we'll have Tralee on Friday, Shelburne and Limerick on Saturday. And of course, we also have the Fair Warrior final from Mullingar on Sunday, as well as Lifford. Have to mention Lifford was on the station last night. Great to see Lifford on Racing Post Greyhound television. They've got a couple of great competitions on there at the moment: the Firecracker and the Rocket. The Firecracker is a sprint, the Rocket is a 525. Lots to look forward to there. But that's it from us on Talking Dogs on this Tuesday. Once again, my thanks to the two Toms. Caused a little bit of confusion. There wasn't too much crossing of wires, but we got there. That's it though from us on this Tuesday evening. We'll see you next Monday. We will be talking all about that second round of the willwego.com Irish Saint Ledger. But that's it from us. We'll see you next time. Good luck, good evening, God bless.